Good evening, everyone.
How is everyone doing? I am
Great and
so
great.
delighted to be a part of this National Faith and Blue weekend, which actually starts today across the country and will culminate on Monday, October 11th. And we have law enforcement agencies and communities collaborating and engaging on many activities, from drawings and kids contests to dance contests to seniors knitting, you name it. We are doing it all. And again, we are so proud, the BHNI, Black and Hispanic Nutrition Initiative, so proud that we have been asked to participate over this weekend. And tonight we have something in store for everyone. But I want to first recognize National Faith and Blue. We want to recognize the Reverend Markel Hutchinson, the CEO and the lead organizer for this movement. Jared Fuhrer, Jonathan, I hope I'm not missing anyone, but God bless you all. We love you dearly. And all the law enforcement agencies across this country that do much more than write tickets. They are so engulfed in the community. As I have found out over the past couple of years, they are doing so much and really need to be applauded. And many communities are going to see that over these next 4 days. But with that said, we're going to let our host church, which is Mount Calvary Baptist Church, Birmingham, Alabama. And this is going to go out to all the city of Birmingham police officers, law enforcement agencies, and the entire community. We love you. We hope everyone is safe. We know you had flooding issues this past week, and we hope everyone is getting back to normalcy with that. And so I'm going to introduce our host pastor, Pastor Amethyst Whitsey from the Mount Calvary Baptist Church. She's going to open us up in prayer, and then I will get back on. Pastor Whitsey.
Thank you, Troy. I'm so excited to be on the call this evening. And I want you to know that our church is Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and we are located at 1133 Tuscaloosa Avenue, Birmingham, Alabama. And our senior pastor is Pastor Raymond Whitsey. And we are so excited about what's going on with everything with regard to this union of these two companies or events, or what we have going on today. But with that being said, we are going to go ahead and offer up a word of prayer. So we're asking right now if you just bow with us as we pray. Lord, we come before your throne of grace and mercy this evening, God. We just thank you for allowing us to be here, God. And right now, we just lift up our Faith and Blue and our BHNI to you right now, God. We're asking right now that you just bless these two unions, God. Just bring them together, God, that we may do miraculous work in these communities, that we may come together, that God, we can bring some love back into the community, some peace back into these communities. God, we're just asking right now, God, that your spirit just flow all over these communities, all over the world, God, and just bring that love back. God, bring that fellowship back between our communities and the law enforcement. God, right now we're asking for protection for our law professionals all over this country. God, just keep them, God, just protect them as they go out to protect us. God, our communities, God, we're just asking right now, God, that you would just keep them safe, God. Just let the killing stop in these communities. Let us love more in these communities. Let us show more love in these communities, that people can get to know who you are, God. By us showing love, this will bring them to you. And God, we're just asking right now, God, that your spirit just flow all over this world in these times right now that we're living in, because we know, God, that you are on your way back. And God, right now, we're just asking all these prayers in advance, knowing, believing by faith, God, that what we've asked you to do is already done. And Lord, we just thank you right now in the powerful name of Jesus. And God, we ask a special blessing upon Troy Richardson and all that he's doing in his endeavors right now. God, just bless them, bless him. Lord, just keep him strong, keep his mind strong, and give him the strength and the perseverance to continue to do this work. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And
Amen.
thank you for that prayer for Troy Richardson. I'll definitely receive that. Keep my mind strong for sure.
That's right.
And I just want to touch a little bit about the Black and Hispanic Nutrition Initiative. We know all over this country, there's a big disparity in the health, the nutrition, and the financial literacy all over the country, but specifically in the Black and Hispanic communities. People are suffering. A lot of times it's the bad choices, whether what they're eating, and bad choices, what they're doing with their money. So this initiative was formed to bring education and empower those individuals to make better decisions across the board in health, nutrition, and financial literacy, because it's all about physical, mental, spiritual, and financial wellness. That's what we all want to achieve. And BHNI is doing that. And I'm so satisfied and just so elated that we are doing God's work. And I want to, again, bring these two phenomenal professionals, these two ladies tonight that are going to present to you. I want to bring them to the forefront just for a second, just to say hello before we get started. We're going to start with the health presentation with Lisa Michelle. But before we do, and Felicia Bell is going to do the financial literacy. But these two women, they're both givers. This whole collaboration of coaches and pastors within this initiative, everyone has a common thread. The pastor mentioned love about 7 times in that prayer. We love the people in this country all over the world. We literally love you. We don't have to know you to love you and care about you. And I could tell you unconditionally, we love people and we want to help. So that being said, I just want these two ladies just to say a couple of words, and then after Felicia just says a few things, Lisa Michelle is going to get right into her presentation, and she's going to give you some powerful health and nutrition information. I guarantee it's going to change at least one person's life. So Lisa Michelle, if you could say a few words to the people, I certainly would appreciate it.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is truly an honor to be here. I'm glad to be a part of this initiative, the Black and Hispanic Nutrition Unit Initiative. And I'm excited to hear what is going to be shared tonight. I'm excited to share myself. And then I'm also excited to hear what Felicia is going to be sharing for us, because it's great information that we can all use and we can all need, and that we can all implement in our lives. So thank you, Troy, for this opportunity to be here. And I'm proud of all of you, the Blue, and thank you, Pastor Amethyst, as well, Mount Calvary, for partnering with us and to be a part of this. Thank you.
Okay, Felicia, just a few words.
I'll mute myself. Thanks, Lisa. And thank you, Troy, for inviting me. And you're right. I'm with Lisa. I'm glad to be part of this initiative to help our Black and Hispanic people learn better nutrition and better finance, and just overall, and partnering with the Faith and Blue this weekend. This is just another jump start to help people in their personal development, and then keep it going, and then be able to teach the next generation. We got to pass it on. Thanks, Troy.
Awesome. Lisa Michelle, The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
All right, one sec. Felicia, I need to stop your share for 1 second. And guys, tell me if you can see this screen. Let's see.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was going to say thumbs up, but okay. Thanks, guys. So this evening, I just want to speak to you guys about aging well and how to age well. You know, in our all that you're doing every day on your jobs and in your life. The one thing that we know is that every day we grow older, and we have a choice of how we're going to do that, whether we're going to grow old gracefully or if we're going to grow older with vitality. And so I just want to share a couple of tips and tricks with you guys this evening that I think will really bless your heart. So let's take a look at these two ladies. Both of these ladies are 85 years old. And guess what? You get to choose. Which would you rather do as you age? You can make choices today that will impact the choice that you will make when you get to this age. Now, some people prefer bread than the key to their freedom. And, you know, you just think about it. Do you want the keys or do you just want the bread that's only going to satisfy for a little bit? Guys, you get to choose. And we're going to talk about some of these choices that you make. So through your life and health journey, there's 6 best friends that I want to recommend to you. So the first one is fresh air. Everybody should be getting out every day and just soaking up some good fresh air and sunshine. Exercising our bodies. We know how important that is. And it doesn't have to be a total fitness class or a gym, but just walking, moving, bike riding, whatever it is that you'll do is great. Drinking water. Raise your hand if you think you drink enough water every day. Most of us do not. But guess what? Water should be our best friend because water loves our body. Water loves our organs, and our organs love water as well. Getting our proper rest, resting 7 to 8 hours a day is so important for managing stress. And also eating a good diet filled with fruits, vegetables, real food, not synthetic foods, but real food. And then getting that sunshine, getting the vitamin D every day. So we know that we need less of this and more of this at the bottom. More fresh fruits and vegetables. Now you may say, well, why is real food important? Well, food has antioxidants in them that help us fight the oxidation in our bodies every day. And that's why real food is important. Real food does not have chemicals or toxins in them. And you know where you find that real food? In the grocery store. You find it on the perimeter as you go shopping, on the edges. It's not going to be in the drive-through window. And let me just share this with you. The original fast food was God's idea. That's why he put us in a garden. Everything that we needed for our sustainability, for our health, for our wellness was in that garden. And guys, we have gotten so far away from the garden, but you know what? It's okay. We can come back to the garden by the everyday choices that we make. So we know that our food quality is decreasing. More than 50% of what Americans eat is processed food. And you say, okay, well, what's processed? Well, processed is preservatives and flavor enhancers, emulsifiers, synthetic vitamins, and growth hormones. It's genetically modified. It's less nutrition. Processed foods can have pesticides in them, trans fats, and artificial colors, dyes, and flavors. All are no good for us. Broccoli could lose 50 to 80% of key nutrients before you buy them. So it's important for us to go with the unprocessed foods, which are found in the perimeter of the grocery store. This is what we want to avoid as we're aging. The dirty dozen, homogenized, partially homogenized oils. All of the things on this list, stay away from them. They're toxic and they are not serving your body well. And how will you know about these things? I'm glad that you asked. The way that you know is by reading the labels. So everything that you purchase has a nutrition facts. And if you can't pronounce it and read it, then I would suggest you don't eat it, because it's not going to serve you well. So we should be detectives, food detectives of what we eat every day. We should be reading these labels and be discriminating about what you allow in your body and what you don't. So let's look at one of the famous brands of cereal. And you can see those ingredients listed there. Well, look at this ingredient named trisodium phosphate. And can you see down here some of the symptoms that trisodium phosphate can cause in the human body? I'm not sure if you can see it, so let me read it to you. It says abnormal pain, burning sensation, shock, or collapse. What? Y'all, this is a cereal. This is a everyday cereal, popular cereal. Here's another one. Here's trisodium phosphate, which is a heavy duty cleaner. And it's used like that. And it's also in this additional brand of everyday cereal. That's not a good choice. It's not a good choice for you. It's not a good choice for your family, for you sending your kids to school with this. It's not good for the brain development either. So we really need to be good detectives of what we eat and make better choices. And so this is just an example of a great breakfast, which is a smoothie, adding fruits and vegetables in water or milk, and they are delicious. I have one every morning. I have a green smoothie because I like spinach or kale, and then I add my vegetables in it, and boy, oh boy, is it delicious. I also have a plant protein powder that I add that adds 15 more plants in there. And remember, plants help you age well. Another option for you is to grow your own food. Now, guys, this is an aeroponic hydroponic system. I've got one in my backyard, and I am loving being a farmer, an urban farmer. And so it doesn't, you can do it inside or outside. It does not take a lot. These are going to be in all homes, just like a television is in your home. People are loving growing their own food in small containers because nobody's touched it or coughed on it, and you know exactly where it's coming from. So that is another option, and you can talk to us about that. So there are, and I would suggest that you make changes before you have no choice. Fruits and vegetables are a great option for us all. So you know what? Health is not just about what we're eating, but it's also about what we're thinking and saying. So I want to encourage you, finally, brothers, whatsoever is true, whatsoever is honorable, whatsoever is just, pure, lovely, and commendable, think on these things, as Philippians 4:8 tells us. So remember, eat real food, not too much, mostly plants, because plants love your body and plants love your body well. Good night, everyone. And I hope that you age well. Remember, you get the choice. You get to choose if you want to do it gracefully or if you want to age with vitality.
Well, I gotta tell you, Lisa, I want to age well. I want to age well. I don't want to be old and in a nursing home. I want to be vital.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
All right. So let's see. I'm going to start from the beginning. So I'm going to just follow up what Lisa said, because, oh my gosh, what she said was so powerful. I mean, when you think about it, oh my goodness, you just think about all those nasty things that go in your body and you're like, why am I eating this? Why do I feel bad? Why do I feel sluggish? My brother and I, in fact, it was kind of funny. We're making this dip and it requires this. Let's just talk about the disgusting cheese it requires. But anyway, he had this, it requires these tomatoes. And he goes, I think I only have one can. And I'm like, oh my God, it's dated 2013. I think we're not going to use it. And he's like, it's 2013. It says it's 2021. It's 8 years old. We're not going to eat it. And let's be clear, if it was still good, we should not be eating it. So anyway, I'm here to talk about, the financial aspect of getting healthy about it and getting healthy with yourself, how money works. Now, this portion is going to be based on this book, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker, written by Tom Matthews and Steve Siebel. And it's going to be available on the BHNI website. So take a look. And if you like what we're saying here, education and action go together. So the book is called Stop Being a Sucker because we want people to stop thinking like a sucker. We want people to think like the wealthy. Benjamin Franklin said, investment in knowledge pays the best interest. If you know what you're doing, you can help yourself, build yourself, and teach others and build a legacy. Again, the word is strong, but it sucks up your time. It sucks up your freedom and it sucks up your income. Financial illiteracy is the #1 economic crisis in the world, not just in America, in the world, because people don't know what to do with their money. They don't know how to do it. People know the basic stuff. They're like, I know how to get a job. I know how to get an hourly rate. And then maybe they know how to cash a check. Surprisingly enough, a lot of people don't know how to cash checks. So therefore, people are standing in the pay advance lines. And that's not a good thing because they take 10% of your money. So this is a critical situation. And we are here to try to stop the cycle and get people to think. Again, you don't have to be wealthy. You just have the mindset and use the same strategies. Again, financial literacy in the world is horrible. And in America, it's just as bad. We are number 14. We have the most money in the world, but we are number 14 in financial literacy. Now, again, I'm going to caveat some of these things because some of these statistics are prior to the pandemic. 44% of Americans couldn't come up with a $400 emergency. When I say $400 emergency, that doesn't mean whip out that credit card that you don't have a balance on. That means you liquid cash. 43% of people are defaulting on their student loans. The average credit card debt is $9,000, which means by their lifetime, they would have paid almost $40,000. So those $200 shoes you got on sale or the $20 shoes you got on sale that you put on your credit card, you could end up paying $500 for just because you don't really understand how money works. And here's the really sad thing right here with Americans. 33% of American adults have zero retirement savings. With 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day, that's a really bad situation. We'll talk about later how that's going to really impact the world. But the question is, how did we get here? How did we Americans get here and get such a bad position? Well, only 21 out of 50 states require high school education to teach at least one class in personal finance. But here's the thing. When I started doing this, about 4 or 5 years ago, that number was only 4. So we're getting better. But the other thing too is the class they teach is balancing checkbooks. Since most people do everything on apps, not really sure that this is helping people understand the bigger picture. The book and these classes will help you understand the bigger picture. We talk about the sucker cycle. The sucker cycle basically is your money comes in, money goes in all these different places, and your money goes out. If we look at and we just start the cycle all over again, whether you get paid on a monthly basis, weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, this is what happens. Now look at the picture. The last place that is paid is the little piggy bank. This piggy bank should be number 1 in the cycle, and it should be huge. You should pay yourself first. That is one of the key factors that wealthy people understand. Pay yourself first. Because once that goes away and you don't have that much discretionary income left, you may make a different decision. Okay, I don't have the money to go hang out with my friends this week. I did it last week. Or maybe I don't really buy that expensive car. Do I really need it? And you need to take a look at where the money is going, right? Subscription services. Okay, do you need Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Showtime? Do you need all of those? Or how much TV are you watching? If you're doing what Lisa said and you're outside getting sun and you're outside exercising, you shouldn't be in the front of the TV anyway that much, right? So just take a look at where the cycle is. At the end of the day, pay yourself first. It should be the number 1 thing you do. Here's what we show is it's the plane, it's the airplane for retirement. On one side is the wing for Social Security and your 401k if you have one, and the other side is your personal savings. Now, some statistics say that at least 70% of your pre-retirement money you're going to need to live on. Most people don't want to do that. That's a 30% cut in their lifestyle. So most people really want to try to figure out if they can generate enough savings to maintain the lifestyle that they have right now. The problem is most people aren't getting there. We're showing that the millennials are saved 23,000, Gen Xers 66, and for those baby boomers, the average is saved 152,000. And if you're following Lisa's thing and we're going to be living longer, that 152,000 is going to have to last you at least 30 years. You got to look at where you are. And also to think about it. On the other side of the wing is the Social Security and your 401k. Not sure Social Security, I don't know what that's going to look like 30, 40 years. We don't know. So you might have to be putting together a savings plan, your own personal retention plan, your own personal retirement plan by yourself. So that's 100%. You got to figure that out. If you know how money works and you think like the wealthy, you can build the wealth to do that for yourself. This is the graph that shows us what it looks like when things aren't right, right? You get up there, you're 67, your money's going to run out. Now, what are you going to do? You have 3 options, right? You could go back to work, or you could live with your kids if you have kids, or if you think that's an option. That wouldn't be for me. Or you can change your lifestyle. Some people don't want to do that. So planning ahead is what will make that graph look this much better. You will have a reliable income and last as long as you do. It will help you help yourself. Think about what Lisa was talking about with the food. It helps the inner self. That will give you such great spirit. And this will also, being financially literate also decreases the stress, and that will provide the happiness that you need. We're going to talk about 3 concepts and 7 money milestones for the rest of the presentation. And the first concept is the power of compound interest. Zoe is a character in our book, and she says basically interest is interest on interest. It is one of the most fabulous things we have in the world. Albert Einstein called it one of the 8 wonders of the world. It's a beautiful thing, and if you understand it and you use it, it can help you build your future. So there's simple interest versus compound interest. And simple interest is just simple interest. You're going to get, let's take $100, you get 10% interest. You're always going to get $10 every year. You're not going to build anything that way, right? Compound interest, you're going to get $10 in the first year. The second year, you're going to get $10. You're going to get the percentage on the 10, the 100, and plus the 10. The next year is going to be the 100 plus the 10 plus whatever that interest is. So pretty soon, you're going to build wealth. On the other one, at 10% interest, you're always going to get the same $10. I know I'm talking fast. The book will outline it. Don't forget. So here's a simple example. $1,500 saved over 50 years at 9% interest. You got $8,000. That's not a lot to go home about, but it's still there. So it's not doing anything. You know, you're not going to get excited about that. Compound interest. Look how beautiful it looks now. You have over $133,000, almost $133,000. Who wouldn't want that? Do you want simple or do you want compound? Now let's think about this though. If you're trying to get a loan, you want the simple interest, right? Because you want the same interest payment every year, regardless of how big the loan amount is. No, most people don't do that. Just so we're clear, think about your credit cards. Your credit cards are compound interest. But so you understand, compound interest can work positively in building your wealth. Now we're going to take an example of a 25-year-old saving $178 a month. And that's really not an undoable thing. It's an easy thing to do. You take $170 a month, and here's what it looks like with the different interest rates: 1, 3, 6, and 9. Now look at those. At 1% interest, if that's basically putting it in a bank and just letting it go, putting $170 a month in a bank. Most banks give less than 1%. So by the time you're 66, you'll have a little over $100,000. 3, 6, 9. Don't you want the 9? Absolutely. This is what we want to do. This is talking about how money works and understanding the financial vehicles that will generate that kind of interest. It's about getting educated and not just doing same. You're never going to get wealthy. And this is a different key. Going to Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citibank, and just putting it in the standard savings account. Here's a second concept we're going to talk about: the time value of money. Follow these 3 action steps. Start now, save regularly, and be patient. Part of the problem we have is we take the money out, so the compounding isn't going to do us any good because we keep taking it in and out. So you need to designate sort of your in and out, like this is my account that I use to pay my bills with, but this is the account that I'm going to use to grow and save for the future. This is where this is going to work really well for you. The time value of money. Start as soon as you can. And I know some of us, just like me, if you had to go back to your 25-year-old self, I would tell them to put that away, that $178, because then I'd be in a better position as I approach retirement age. But I can't turn back time. What I can do is start now. Here are 2 different scenarios. This is when Sarah, these are both people in the book, Sarah and George. Sarah started off when she was 22. She saved $4,000 a year, and she stopped after 7 years. She says, I'm gone and done. And by the time she was 67, she has $1.4 million. George started later. He saved the same amount of money, but he had to save every single year. And he has $1.3 million. He put in way more than 4.5 times, 4 3/4 more than Sarah. She put in $32,000 and she was done. He put in $152,000 and he still has less money. Let's go back. The time value of money. Start now, save regularly, be patient. Sarah wins this game. Now, we always use $1 million just as sort of everybody's as the benchmark. So you want $1 million by the time you're 67. That's the retirement age. So if you start at 25, like we showed you, at $178 a month, you'll have $1 million. If you wait a little bit longer, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. I mean, look what it's going to take you if you wait till you're age 45 to get to $1 million. It's going to take you, it's a comma check, right? $1,200. That's a lot of money. So if you start sooner, you're going to get to your goal a lot easier. It's not undoable, but it's going to be pretty hard. So this is what we're going to talk about. This is one of the fabulous things. We combine the time value of money with compound interest to try to build a legacy. It is called the $1 million baby. The issue is, what kind of legacy plan do you really have? If you want it. Now, this is not to say you need to do this, but if you're one of those people that says, I want to leave something to my grandkids, I want to leave something to my kids, this is for you, right? If you want to leave each of your children $1 million from your personal savings, could you really do that? Could you grow $1 million for retirement? How could you do that? Here's the way to do that. Because the reality is, These are the three things that impact your ability to leave a legacy, right? Your longevity. You might need that money for yourself. So you might not be able to leave that money you thought you were going to put aside for your kids. You might have medical bills. The average retiree will spend $122,000 in medical bills from the age of 70 to the end of their life. That might eat into your $1 million income, right? That you just saved. Long-term care. I mean, we'll talk about this too later on, but 70% of Americans over 65 are going to need some type of long-term care. So now you're living longer, so you're going to have more expenses. You've got medical expenses too, and maybe now you have long-term care event. That's kind of eating into your $1 million that you just try to save for your retirement. But let's think about this. How can you get out of it? How can you leave a legacy? Well, here are two examples. We're going to go with Dana and Hector, both are our characters in our book, and see different scenarios on what this can look like. So Dana puts away $13,000 right when the child was born, and that's it. She's done. And when that child is 67 years old, that child will have $1 million legacy. Now, I know what you're all thinking, and let me just tell you, you put it in a trust so they can't wake up when they're 18 and go, I want to buy myself a Ferrari. No, this is what we are trying to leave as a legacy for them. So when they retire, they don't have to be worried. Dana decides, I'm just going to start saving for my kids' future when they're 18 years old. Well, she puts the $13,000 in there when she's 18. Guess what happened? It's only $300,000. You know why? She lost 18 years on the time value of money and compound interest. So do you want to do $1 million or do you want to do 300,000? Well, here's Hector. He doesn't have $13,000 right up front, but he has $2,500. So he says, okay, I'm going to do $2,500 and then I'm going to add $250 a month for 4 years. Guess what? Hector has about the same amount of money for his legacy for his child, $1 million. Hector also says, I'm going to wait till they're 18, does the same scenario. He also has around $300,000. The reality is time value of money and compound interest work for you. You want to leave a legacy? This is the greatest way to do it. Right? There's nieces, there's nephews, there's grandkids. This won't cost you a lot of money. You don't have to come out of $1 million out of your pocket. All you have to do is take advantage of time, because the sooner you do it, the better you can do it. So the strategy can help you in other ways too, right? It's a gift for the future. It's a gift for your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, anybody you would want to try to leave the legacy for. Now, here's our third concept, the rule of 72. The rule of 72 is a mental math shortcut. It is the most fabulous thing. It's one of the other fabulous things that Albert Einstein talked about. You take 72, you divide the interest rate, and that is how many years it's going to take your money to double. So we're going to take simple math. 72 divided by 1 means it's going to take your account to double in 72 years. Okay. I don't have 72 years left, right? And unless you start this when you're like born, that's not going to really help you, right? To have it double in 72 years. But this is what the ladder looks like when you have better interest rates, right? 8, 12, 6, 12, 24 years to double. Which one do we want to do, right? 6%, 9%, 12%? I mean, I think I want the 12%, right? Because it's only going to take 6 years to double. But do we go after the 12% or do we just throw our money in the bank? There's almost 10 trillion. Again, these numbers are pre-pandemic. They're sitting in money market savings account. The average is 0.09%. 72 divided by 1 is 72 years. We're going to see the next slide what that looks like when it's actually not 1%. But does anybody see their bank here? Can you really see what it's going to look like? Think about this. If your bank is here, my bank, well, actually, I don't bank with Bank of America, but I have a credit card with Bank of America. But anyway, it's going 0.03%. That's not going to do anything. That's not going to build me any wealth. Here's Clark from our book. You take 72 divided by 0.09, which was the average interest rate in 2019. It's going to take 800 years for your money to double. 800 years. That means $1 is going to be $2.2820. Okay, that's not helping anybody. It works the opposite as well. You have a credit card. The average credit card balance is 17%. Think about this. You take 72 divided by 17, it's going to take Bank of America only 4.2 years to get their money, right? So they're getting their money in 4.2. I'm getting my money in 800 years. This is what we're talking about. Learn how money works. We need to figure out how to lower the interest rate on our credit cards and find a better interest rate in building our assets. We want to lower our liabilities and build our assets at a faster rate. How money works. Because the reality is, there are things out there that give you 3, 6, 9, and 12% interest. People don't search for them. People don't do the research. And then they get stuck in these little 0.014 things. This is not going to build wealth. It may protect your principal, but it's not going to build you. It's not going to help you for long term. Okay, here are the 7 money milestones. This is very good. This is a situation, no matter what age or stage you are in your life, the money milestones can help you get through your financial planning, your legacy building, whatever you want. Again, I know I have friends, I have girlfriends who are like, I'm single, I don't have to do this. Well, you're right. You're single, you don't have kids, but maybe you want to leave something to your nephew, or you want to make sure that, maybe you have a close friend that you want to do something for. Otherwise, Uncle Sam is going to take it on. So here are the 7 money milestones: financial education, proper protection, emergency fund, debt management, cash flow, building wealth, and protecting wealth. The first one, financial education, becoming financially literate and finding a financial professional. Financial education, watching this video, reading the book, that's part 1. Finding a financial professional. If you have a financial professional, that is fabulous. If you feel comfortable with your financial professional, even better. But if you don't have one and don't know anyone, contact bhni.org and they can hook you up with somebody who can help you with your financial needs and goals. Because at the end of the day, you just need a little assistance. We all need a little help. And trust me, I will be contacting Miss Nutrition after this to talk about my nutrition goals, because I feel like I don't want to be the woman with the cane. Not sure I can be the power woman, but I want to be the woman. I don't want to be the woman in the cane. That's my biggest fear. That's my second biggest fear. Anyway, proper protection. Protect against loss of income, protecting against loss of saving, also known as insurance. When you say that word insurance, most people roll their eyes and suck their teeth until something happens. How many GoFundMe pages have gone up every single day because somebody passed away unexpectedly and people weren't properly protected? Everyone always asks us, what's the standard thing to do? Well, the rule of thumb is 10 times your annual income. Well, okay, so 50,000, which means you should have 5,000 insurance. 100,000 means you should have $1 million worth of insurance. But there are different things that play into that answer, right? There's other factors you need to consider. You need to talk about your age, how much debt you have, what is your current income and financial situation? Do you have a stable job? Would you be able to pay the premiums? What is your health? Are you in good health? Are you a smoker? Are you an ex-smoker? Are you on the pre-diabetes train? Do you have cancer in your family? All these things play into that. How many dependents? How many people are you trying to protect or relying on your income? And here's one a lot of people don't think about: your role in a company. If you have a small business and you have a business partner, or you just, maybe there's 2 or 3 of you, and one of you passes away and the others have been relying on that person's input to keep the company going, insurance can play a part in your plan to recover from that loss of that person. You can either buy them out if you're in a partnership, or you can use that money to try to stopgap the loss of that person's contribution in search of another person. These are things you can think about with insurance. Again, depends on what you need. So the rule of thumb may not necessarily apply depending when you add up all these things. But you know what? That's why you need to talk to a financial professional so you can sit down with them and get something quite tailored for you. The thing is that most people think they underestimate how much life insurance they're going to need, and they overestimate how much it's going to cost. 59% of Americans have life insurance, and about half of them are underinsured. Someone asked me on a training class I did the other day, she says, is it possibly to be overinsured? It actually all depends. It depends on where you are in life and how much it's costing you. If you have like a term policy and it's going to expire soon, then keep it. If you have a permanent policy and you got it when you were relatively young, and maybe some of the reasons you don't need it, but it's still relatively inexpensive, keep it. All that just means is that there's going to be a bigger legacy that's left for your beneficiaries. So here we come to term life insurance. Now, there's lots of commercials out there, lots of ads, lots of things that pop up on your phone. You get these flyers in the mail. At the end of the day, there's really only two types of insurance. Term, which is temporary, which is usually 10, 20, or 30-year terms, and permanent. Now, term does what it says it's going to do. It's for a term, and it's really for them. I put these into the categories. Term is for them, perm is for me and them, right? So term does what it's supposed to do. If you pass away, there is a beneficiary receives the distribution. That's what it does. That's what it's supposed to do. It's simple, it's easy, it does that. I die, my beneficiary gets money. Done. That's what temporary term life insurance does. Term is really good because it's less expensive than permanent life insurance. And it kind of works because you might have other financial obligations when you need the coverage, right? You might be raising children, you might be on a mortgage, you might be trying to pay for college, you might be going to college, you might be running your own company. So term works really well in this space. It's very good because you can get a lot of money, get a lot of coverage for not a little bit of money. Now remember, it's for a term. So understand that 10, 20, 30 years. Now, when you think about life insurance companies and you think about the success of life insurance companies, it's because most people outlive their term. Only 97%, actually, I'm saying this incorrectly, 97% of term policies do not pay out, which means only 3% do. So that means our life insurance companies have collected 97% premiums, but what happens? People live out their term. Now I have a term policy that's getting ready to expire. I'm hoping I will outlive my term. So there's two scenarios with the term policy. You no longer need the life insurance. Okay, there you go. Or you still need the term, right? So if you still need it, you're going to have to look at the finances behind that, because if you got it in your 20s and now you're in your 50s and maybe now some of those little nasty health issues have creeped up, it's going to be more expensive. This is what we call the financial X-wave. It really kind of shows how we live in this world, right? On the left side is where we have more responsibility, less wealth, we're getting ourselves together. Some of us are starting families, some of us are doing careers, some of us are traveling. Term really works well in this space, again, because it's relatively inexpensive and, it gives you big coverage. But it doesn't really work so well when you have more wealth, and less responsibility, maybe, but depends. Permanent works on both sides. Permanent is there forever as long as the premiums are paid. Permanent life insurance policy. I love permanent life insurance policy because it does more than one thing. Term does what it's supposed to do. But you know what? The permanent life insurance policy does it too. It does a life insurance policy coverage just like term. There you go. But you can also add a long-term care rider. Now, understand this again, 70% of us are going to need long-term care. And I always say this just like this, if you're people of a certain age and you know Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry, when he says, do you feel lucky? Do you think you're going to be the 30% that don't need it? Okay, don't worry about the long-term care. But the other thing this one does, it builds cash value and it provides for freemium, flexible premium. What does that mean? Well, when people had issues during the pandemic, we don't even have to go with the pandemic, but we'll just use that because that's the most recent thing where lots of people were infected. But if you have some issues with trying to pay your bill, you could call up the life insurance company and say, hey, listen, I'm having some financial issues. How much cash value do I have? And they say, oh, Felicia, you have 24 months of cash value you've built in to pay your premiums. And that's what you can do until you get back on your feet. So your policy is still valid. There's other things you can do with your cash value in a permanent life insurance policy. If you want, you can buy yourself a car. You can take a nice vacation if you're a vacation person. I'm a vacation person. Throw yourself a wedding, throw your kid a wedding. I don't know. Or you can use it as supplemental income to your retirement. That's a nice little thing. Fun fact, when John McCain was running against Barack Obama for president, he used some of his cash value in his permanent life insurance policy to supplement his campaign funds. You can do whatever you want with it. He obviously had started earlier. So he took advantage of what? The time value of money and compound interest. There's another little hidden gem in this as well. It's kind of creditor free. Because of that, if you're getting things garnished and you haven't paid some bills and they start attacking your checking account and things like that, and they can't touch the cash value in your permanent life insurance policy. Just a little side note. Now we're talking about the long-term care insurance. Again, 70% of the people over age 65 are going to at one point in time need it. 8% of the people over age 55 don't even have it. They haven't prepared for it. Now, there's been some bad advice, and I will say this is bad advice at telling people to wait till they're 60 to apply for long-term care insurance. Well, good grief, by the time you're 60, who knows what could happen? Now, I will tell you that long-term care insurance doesn't necessarily mean you have to be old. 37% of people under age 55 had to use long-term care. Long-term care basically is what it sounds like. Long-term care. If you get in an accident, you hurt yourself, you can't dress yourself, you can't go to the bathroom, you can't feed yourself. And maybe these are temporary situations. Long-term care kicks in. Doesn't mean you're 85 years old, like the woman with the cane. Doesn't mean that. It just means if you have a long-term care situation, you might want to use the funds to do that. You want to plan for it. Most people have insurance on their phones. Most people, right? There isn't a state that doesn't require insurance on your cars, and most people have insurance on their houses. It's mind-boggling that people won't take care of themselves. Just like she was saying earlier, we got to take care of ourselves with our fruits and vegetables. We also got to take care of ourselves if something happens, because sometimes you just don't know. You're not prepared. My sister-in-law passed away a week ago. She would have been 60 on Sunday. I mean, you just don't know. It was surprising. It was shocking. And, we're all trying to get past it. But the reality is, you don't know. We don't know what life is going to bring us. So we need to be prepared. So the average long-term stay is about 3.9 years. This is a chart that kind of gives you a rough order of what this is going to cost you if you have to.
I've been waiting on this like all day.
So this is what it's going to show you what the long-term care impact is going to be for your finances. And again, this could go in, this is just a snapshot, and depending where you're located, it could be higher or lower. And so you need to plan for it. If you have long-term care insurance, you might be covered. If you don't, it's going to have to come out of your savings that you're trying to save for your retirement and your family. What kind should you purchase? Well, there's traditional standalone. It's actually like term. You use it, you don't use it. So you pay into the premiums. If you use it, yay. If you don't use it, you've paid into the premiums and you don't get it back. Or, like I said before, use it as a rider to permanent life insurance policy. So if you use it, yay. If you don't use it, guess what? It goes to the beneficiaries. The cost of that long-term care insurance will go to your beneficiaries when you pass away. There are other riders to permanent life insurance policies you should think about. Sometimes they don't cost additional money, so you should talk to your financial professional about getting a critical illness one: heart attack, stroke, cancer, chronic illness. All of these may be available, so you should make sure you ask the question. Again, learning how money works and getting the education can help you help yourself. Emergency fund. This is a critical one. 3 to 6 months of income, prepare for unexpected expenses. So remember that slide I showed you with the sucker cycle, and I said the piggy bank first? This is one of those piggy banks. You should create an emergency fund. Now, the pandemic showed that most people did not have an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months is a rule of thumb, 3 to 6 months of your annual income. So now what people don't want to do when they see this, they get panicky. Oh, it's like, okay, I'm not saying you should have $50,000 if you make $100,000 in there right now. I'm saying you should build towards it. Just build towards it, because hopefully you won't need the emergency. You won't have an emergency before you build up your cushion. There's really only 2 rules to an emergency fund. Your emergency fund is only for unexpected emergencies. That's it, unexpected. Looked it up, unexpected emergency, Cabo trip does not apply. That Macy's one-day sale that they do 360 days a year does not count either. Unexpected emergencies. I'll tell you, I had one the other day. My sink under in my kitchen, I mean, it just, he had the plumber come out, he had to do his little thing. $800 later, that's what happened. Emergency fund, just what it's for. And the second rule is use the fund if you do have an emergency. Don't put it on the credit card. Use it. That's what it's for. And that's what you've planned for. Debt management. This kind of goes along with that eating healthy, kind of changing your habits and striving to eliminate debt. Debt is a big thing in the United States, and it causes a lot of stress. So when we look at the fact what people are doing, here are just 5 quick tips on how to eliminate and stay out of debt. Now, again, the book goes into a little bit more depth about how you can do this, but basically know what you own. Actually got to write it all down. And sometimes it'll stress you out. And sometimes you'll be like, oh, okay, I'm actually not doing too bad. Try to set yourself on automatic payments. And if you can, put it on a calendar, put it on your phone. I've had a couple of clients that tell me they just basically set their calendar and the alarms on their phones when bills are due, and then they pay the bills over the phone. Whatever works for you. If you're in debt and you want to get out of debt, you should target one debt at a time. There's a couple of rules of thumb on this. Some people say target at the highest interest rate first. Some people say, kind of give yourself some small wins and start with the lowest balance first. Give yourself, some happiness. And there are some debt companies out there. Talk to your financial professional to see if that's really worth your while and if you really are in a position that will benefit you. Sometimes people don't understand the fine print. You're paying people to consolidate your debt, and at the same time, you're still going to be in debt. Or what people don't understand is that debt write-off can become taxable income. So what now happens is you were just in debt and you were paying it on time, but you were just panicking about the debt. Now you've had to pay somebody, your debt is reduced, but now you have a big tax bill because Uncle Sam said, oh, Felicia, you wrote off $30,000 in debt. You know what? That's income. So now I'm going to charge you. So understand and talk to a financial professional and understand the impact if you decide you want to go a third-party route for debt consolidation or debt management. And, stop charging and cancel some unused subscriptions. Sometimes we get these 14-day, 30-day free trials. You have to give them a credit card in order to do it. And then you forget about it, and now you're on the cycle. Well, I say buy a couple of prepaid Visa cards. So if there's something you want to try, use that prepaid Visa card. And then that way, if the time comes up and they want to renew it, you can sit there. It will require them to ask you, because the Visa card is no longer valid, it will ask you, Felicia, you still want this? And that's an opportunity to kind of manage your money and things you forget about. And then if you have an ability to take advantage, if you own a home, if you take advantage of these things, these are kinds of things that can help you. Increasing your cash flow. Earn additional income, manage your expenses. So here's the thing. There are some quick things you can do to kind of think about how to increase your cash flow. Well, one of them is create and stick to a budget. I find it very hard to stick to a budget, but everybody has their own way of kind of tracking their money, tracking how they spend. We always get this question, what's the best budget thing out there to help me track my money? Here's my recommendation, the one you're going to use. That's all I'm going to say. The one you're going to use. There's lots of apps out there. Play with them, find out which makes you feel better, which ones you're going to use, which things you're going to help you just, because sometimes some of them are cumbersome. Some people like that kind of stuff. I'm not an app girl. I do everything on a spreadsheet. Write a written game plan down, write goals down. They say this is true. When people write their goals down, people will follow them. And those people who follow their goals, 97% of the time, they achieve them. I know for the last few years, I've started writing down my goals. And when I get stressed out or anything, I go back and look at them and try to keep myself focused. Maybe check on your car and homeowners insurance. I know I do this. I've done it recently for the last 2 years because I've been so annoyed that I think my car insurance I'm spending too much money because I don't have points. I mean, I'm a good driver. We have all these wonderful things, but it's still kind of high. But I did some analysis and found out my car insurance is maybe not that competitive, but my homeowner's insurance really is. So between the two, I'm in a very competitive situation. But recently, I was annoyed with my car insurance. I keep seeing all these commercials. And so I called the agent and he's like, you know what? It's the mileage. It's the mileage that you're driving. Well, oh my goodness, I'm not driving anymore, right? I don't work 5 days a week anymore. I'm only going to the office maybe 2. And he says, well, see, if you document that this is what's happening, we may be able to lower your rate. So just take a look and see what options you have available. It's just like any of those subscription services. When you want to cancel your cable or you want to cancel your internet, they've always got a new rate for you that will lower your bill. Take a minute, figure out, do that, and then reposition your savings. Put it someplace that's not at 0.03%. Try to talk to your financial professional about trying to get the 3, 6, 9, or 12%. Understand there are trade-offs. Please be careful. Don't just say I want 12%. Just like anything else, you have to understand the big picture. And if you happen to be one of those people that bought your house and had to pay PMI, private mortgage insurance, and maybe now you have 20% equity, maybe you can refinance your house. They're not going to come knocking on your door and say, Felicia, you now have 20% equity. They're going to keep taking your PMI. So that's another thing that will free you up. You put that cash, you know what you do with that? You can reposition your savings. You can pay against your debt. And if all those are all in good shape, you can build your emergency fund. And if all those are in good shape, we'll go to number 6. You can work on building your wealth. So there's also 3 big moves to supercharging your cash flow. Add a side gig. 45% of workers have done that. Everybody's doing Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, whatever works for you. Start a business. Start your own business. Be your own person. Control your life. This is something I totally recommend for everyone. Become an entrepreneur. If that's what you feel your passion is, follow it. Become an entrepreneur. If you work for somebody and you're a W-2 employer, look and see if you can take out more deductions. Talk to your accountant first because you really don't want to do this and end up owing money. Building wealth. Avoid the impact of taxes, losses, and inflation, and create and grow assets for the future. That's what you want to do. Will your wealth last as long as you do? It's a question you must be able to answer. Will your wealth last as long as you do? 63% of people have a greater fear of running out of money in retirement than dying. I was one of those 63%, but I repositioned my money so I will have lifetime income. I got educated and found out those things were available. I did not know. And sometimes we don't know. There's no shame in not knowing, but you want to learn. Education and action is the key. So here are the biggest threats to wealth building: procrastination, losses, inflation, and taxes. And okay, procrastination by far is hands down the most. It's not our favorite, but it's the one that gives us the biggest self-sabotage. Procrastination. You know what? That means we're not taking advantage of the time value of money. And that's what happens. The rule of 72 can work on this as well. Now, statistically, they said this came from the average inflation rate. I don't know who believes this, 2.8% over the last 100 years. Okay, whatever. But let's just go with that answer. 72 divided by 2.8 means in 25.7 years, the cost of goods are going to double. 25.7 years. So in our lifetime, the cost of goods are going to double. Now, think about your income, think about your wealth. Is that going to be able to cover it? You have to think about stuff like that. And you can use the rule of 72 to help you do it. The impact of losses. You know, sometimes people look at this chart and they're going, I'm confused. You have $10,000 and you hit a 50% loss. Now you have $5,000. But then you get 50% gain, but you're not getting your $10,000 back. No, because 50% of 5,000 is now 7,500. You're going to have to get 100% gain. There's nothing out there that's going to do that. So you really need to work on trying to make sure that you reduce your losses, reduce your risk and losses, diversify your portfolio, and utilize different financial vehicles. Diversify your portfolio. A lot of people have dumped all their money into the 401k. That's their savings plan. They've said, that's how I'm going to save for retirement. Now, if you were in 2008 and you had just put all your money in your 401k basket and the market crashed like it did 50%, and you lost 50% of your retirement savings and you're getting ready to retire, you had a problem. I don't know what all those people did back then. And so we're trying to educate people. So if that happens again, that they will be prepared for it, because putting all your money in one place is very risky. I mean, you get excited because maybe you see your stock is going up and up and up, but if it tanks and everything is there, you know, diversification is key. A lot of people also underestimate the impact of taxes. And you think about the fact that when you are getting ready to retire and what your plans are, you want, how much money do you need to live off of? How much you got to pay Uncle Sam? And then how much of that is going to go to your kids? If you have all your money in a tax referral account, that means when you actually start taking the money out, you got to pay those taxes, right? So if you're saying I need to live off of $50,000 a year, you're going to have to take out maybe $60,000 out of your little budget, because you're going to have to pay taxes on that. And those are things you have to think about when you're making your plans and when you're building your cushion. Financial professional can help you map that out. Now, here we'd like to talk about the seed versus the harvest. This is kind of I love this slide too. If you save $10,000 at 29 and earn a 9% annual interest rate, you'll have $250,000 when you're 65. Now, do you want to pay the taxes on the $10,000, the seed, or do you want to pay taxes on the $250,000, the harvest? A lot of people don't think about that. They're just thinking about, oh, I want to avoid the taxes now. So we have these three little these flags are in the book, right? Tax now, tax later, tax never. We love the green one, tax never. Tax later, you're deferring it. Tax now is actually not a bad thing either. Again, diversify. Make sure you kind of know where your money is and know where your tax bills are in these situations. We talk about the three components of a reliable income, right? One is you want to maintain the growth. You want to maintain things that aren't going to lose money. We're going to go with that one. You want to reduce your losses. You don't want to be in a situation where your money is going to be impacted with losses. And you want to get yourself a reliable income. That's what you want to do. If you plan for it, time value of money, plan for it. We're coming down the home stretch here. Protecting wealth, creating a will, guarding your legacy. Here are two stories, right? Prince and Aretha Franklin. Both of them died without a will, right? Now, Prince didn't want anybody live streaming his music. He kept his masters, but guess what? His family had to sell them in order to generate the income to pay the tax bill because he didn't have a will. Aretha Franklin, she had lots of wills. None of them were signed, none of them were probated. She had them written all over the place. She died in 2018. Her sons just finalized, well, it was in 2020, early 2020, they negotiated settlement with the IRS. Now, they did that because all these movies were coming out about Aretha, and the state was not going to be able to benefit from it because the IRS had frozen their assets. Why? They hadn't paid the bill. Why? They didn't have the cash. So think about this. We don't have Aretha or Prince money, but it doesn't matter. Whatever you have in your estate, if you don't have a plan, the government is going to go there first. And there's not a lot of documents. Your estate planning with a will, financial power of attorney, advanced care healthcare directive and HIPAA release. You know, the last two are very critical because guess what? A HIPAA release isn't going to happen automatically. And you need, if somebody is going to take care of you or you want somebody to know about your health, they have to have a HIPAA release form. Otherwise, they're not going to tell them. An advanced care directive or a living will. So I tell the story all the time because it went straight to my heart. And this is something that got me with my advanced directive. In 2003 or early 2000s, I'm not really sure it was, Terry Shiva was a woman who was living in Florida, and she was on a life support and feeding tube. She'd been on it for 10 years, and her husband wanted to just cut the feeding tube off because he just really saw no point. Her parents didn't want it. They went to court. They fought. It was a big scandal. He finally won. He stopped the feeding tube, and she passed away. But she had the feeding tube because somebody made that decision to put it in. Now, if you have an advanced directive, then you can have that say, I don't want a feeding tube. 5 years ago, my mother had a stroke. She had an advanced directive. She didn't want a feeding tube. The doctor said she had a massive stroke. The doctor said she'll never walk, talk, or feed herself ever again. She can have a feeding tube. And I was like, okay, she doesn't want a feeding tube. What kind of life is that? So these are things you can control, and these are things you want to do because you want to make sure that the person that you love or even yourself knows what you want. That's what I want. After that Sherry Shiva incident, I got my advanced directive signed. Yes, I did. We should all think about that. So having a stake can help you avoid the government making the decision in who gets your property and who takes care of your children. The process of a court administering estate is called probate. You want to avoid that as much as possible. You want as minimal things to be dealt with probate because somebody else will make the decision for you. You want to make it for yourself. Again, you don't have to be rich. You don't have to be married. You don't have to have kids. This is so whatever you think you want to happen with what you have built in your life, how big or how small, it gets done. That's all it is. And you know what? It's not as expensive as you think. Trust is another form. If you have special needs kids or adult children that you have to take care of, and something will happen with what will happen to them when you're passed away, that's what a trust can do for you. Trust can do lots of wonderful things. It's a supplement or it's a replacement. You can put the will in the trust. These are wonderful things you can do for your protection. Again, this is something you want to do for you, your family, your legacy, your friends, your kids, whatever you want. Because again, you've built something, no matter how big or small, and you want to be able to say where it goes after you pass away. So people think estate planning will be too expensive or time consuming. Just think about what happens when you don't do it. Your loved ones have to dig through the papers. They have to figure out what's happening. They're going to be stuck talking to Uncle Sam. They're going to be stuck writing the checks. But if you just take the time, it's not that expensive. We partner with one of the greatest companies that does this net law. It's relatively inexpensive. You can get all these documents with them. So we've come almost to the end. I just want to talk to you about what we do as an organization. We help you help yourself. We sit down with you. There's no cookie cutter response to what your needs are. We find out what you have, what you want, and where the gaps are. And that's what we call the discovery form. And that's what we use to understand how we can help you. If somebody says, oh, this is the answer, this is all you're going to do, they're not listening to you. And you would want to find somebody else who's going to listen to what you have and what you need. So how money works, this is how we are. My name is Felicia Bell, and I want to thank Troy for having me today and BHNI and being part of the Faith and Blue Weekend and sharing with you about financial literacy.
Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Lisa. Am I off mute?
Yes, you are. You're
Okay.
unmuted.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you, ladies, my teammates, my partners. in this initiative. Both of you empowering information. I cannot wait until everyone gets to see this, because from Lisa with the picture of the two 85-year-old women, who wouldn't want to be the woman on the left?
I know, scared me. I don't want to be.
And if you could just be, let's just say, in between those two, right?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yes. So that is amazing. And Felicia, with the money, the time value,
Yes.
and when you're putting that money in versus, when you don't put that money in, it's such a major gap
Yeah.
that it really does make it simple and easy to pick which end of the spectrum you want to be on. Let's be serious about that. But this is the type of information that the BHNI is bringing to communities and law enforcement. Again, we really want to work with you because we have experience with the TSPs and the retirement plans. So we have professionals that can help you with that as well. And the communities, again, we're here for you. We're going to make sure that you are the strongest, healthiest community that the world has ever seen. So I just want to thank again National Faith in Blue for doing this event year after year. But as I want to tell every community, this is not a one-hit wonder with BHNI. We have several songs coming out of health, wealth, and just empowerment. It's going to be consistent albums. And I'm using this as an analogy just to let you know that we're going to be there consistently for you. As long as you want us, it could be a monthly, bi-monthly, whatever you want to do. Let's set up a schedule so that we can touch you from time to time. Then once you're in the family, you have access to all of these resources absolutely free. Okay, so reach out to us. Let us help you. Let us empower you. Let us educate you, and let us love on you. So again, on behalf of BHNI and all the team members, all the coaches, all the pastors, all the nonprofits we have worked with in the past, and all the law enforcement agencies we have worked with, and those we will work with in the future, we just want to thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We love you. Lisa, Michelle, Felicia Bell, again, thank you so much. Pastor Amethyst, Mount Calvary Baptist Church, God bless you and the congregation. Pastor Amethyst, Pastor Ray, love you dearly, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, folks. Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend.
Thank
Okay.
you, everyone, and
Thank
good
you.
night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you,
Lisa-
Troy.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Stay safe and healthy, everyone.
Yes, absolutely.